This video is going to help you simplify radicals and simplify your numerator denominator when you're working on your quadratic formula Khan Academy. So the first thing we need to be able to do is simplify a radical. So here I have a radical, which is a fancy way of saying a square root, and I need to be able to simplify it. So I'm trying to figure out what perfect square number will multiply to get 40. So if you remember, your perfect square numbers are 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, and so on. So I need to figure out which one of those numbers is a factor of 40. So 4 is, so I can rewrite the square root of 40 as the square root of 4 times 10. And then I can rewrite that as the square root of 4 times the square root of 10. Well, I know what the square root of 4 is. It's 2. So then I have 2, and then the square root of 10 just goes along to the right. So there I have the square root of 40 simplified. So let's look at another one. Like we have the square root of 48. So I think about my perfect squares, 1, 4, 9, 16, 25. And I realize that 16 is a factor of 48. So I can rewrite the square root of 48 as 16 times 3. Which is the same as the square root of 16 times the square root of 3. The square root of 16 is 4, and square root of 3 just comes along for the right. So that is simplified. All right, one more like that. Square root of 50. So I think about my perfect squares, 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, and so on. 25 is a factor of 50, so I can rewrite square root of 50 as the square root of 25 times 2. Which is the same as the square root of 25 times the square root of 2. Square root of 25 is 5, so I have 5 square roots of 2. So now you're probably thinking, well, how do I put this together and simplify the numerator and denominator like I see on Khan Academy? So I've got a couple of those. So when I see this problem here, first thing I need to tackle is simplifying the square root. So for 18, I need to think about what perfect square number is a factor of 18, and that would be 9. So I'm going to rewrite this as 12 plus or minus the square root of 9 times 2 over 3, which then gives me 12 plus or minus the square root of 9 times the square root of 2 over 3. So then I would have 12 plus or minus 3 square roots of 2 over 3. And then I can simplify my numerator and denominator because I have the 3 on the bottom. So 12 over 3 is 4. These 3's cancel out, so I have 4 plus the square root of 2. Now I'm not going to combine those because they're unlike terms. So 4 is just a regular integer and 2 is under a radical, so I can't add those together. Next slide. All right, same thing. I'm going to look at my radical here, and I'm trying to think of what value goes into 112. That's a perfect square number, so that would be 4. So I have negative 8 plus or minus, did I say 4? I think I meant 16. I did mean 16. So we'd have 16 times 7, I believe, over 2. And then that gives me negative 8 plus or minus the square root of 16 times the square root of 7 over 2. Which gives me negative 8 plus or minus square root of 16 is 4, square roots of 7 over 2. And then I'm going to simplify my numerator and the denominator. So negative 8 over 2 is negative 4. And then I'd have plus or minus 4 over 2 is 2, square roots of 7. Uno más. All right, here we go. Square root of 45, we need to simplify that first. So I would have, 9 as a factor of 45. So I'd have 6 plus or minus the square root of 9 times. What just happened? What just happened? I'm not sure. Anyway, we'll just keep going and hope this is working. So 6 plus or minus the square root of 9 times 5 over negative 3. And then we would have 6 plus or minus square root of 9 times the square root of 5 over negative 3. And 6 plus or minus 3 square roots of 5 over negative 3. And then, let's see. Simplify. So 6 over negative 3 is negative 2. And 3 over 3, or 3 over negative 3 is really negative 1. We already have this sign here to cover both the positive and the negative, so they just cancel out and leave the square root of 5.